The program today is a result of the very intense and hard planning of Dr. Gladys Turner Finney. Dr. Finney is an alum. Yes, please, let's applaud Dr. Finney. Dr. Finney is an alum of the University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff. She is a philanthropist, she is a historian, and she is the author of the only recent publication about Joseph Carter Corbin, the founder of what is now the University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff. And without further ado, I introduce to some and present to others Dr. Gladys Turner Finney. Good afternoon. Welcome to this historic event. Thank you for being here. I'm delighted to be here and to serve as your moderator. I'm Dr. Gladys Turner Finney. I'm an heir to the legacy of Professor Joseph Carter Corbin, class of 1957. Edmund Burke said, "People will not look forward to posterity who never look back to their ancestors." Today, we pause to look back and reflect and honor the life and work of Professor Corbin, who laid the foundation for higher education for African Americans in Arkansas, who produced the first African Americans with Bachelor of Arts degree. On this day, September 27, 1875, Professor Corbin opened Branch Normal College, which is the predecessor of UAPB. At present day, 2nd Avenue and Oak Street in Pine Bluff, in a rented house with 7 students, none of whom could read beyond the 3rd grade reader. The light of education at Branch Normal College under Professor Corbin's teaching, guidance, and inspiration became a beacon of hope for the future. Today, UAPB remains a beacon of hope, a symbol of hope for the future. Thank you for being here today.
Good afternoon, everyone. It is my pleasure to welcome you to this historic day on the campus of the University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff. Historic because it occurs in the 150th year of our university's establishment and during the commemoration of the sesquicentennial. It is important and historic because we have gathered here today to celebrate the founding leader of this institution, Professor Joseph C. Corbin Day, on what is known as Corbin Day. On this historic occasion, I am pleased to recognize Colonel Nathaniel Todd, a member of the University of Arkansas Board of Trustees, Chancellor Senator Stephanie Blau here, Mayor Shirley Washington, Mayor of our great city, and all other public officials. If you would raise your hand, I want to acknowledge you as well. Any public officials? Yes. Oh, yes, we see council members. Yes. Thank you. All right. Good. Thank you. The National Alumni, AM&N, UAPB National Alumni Association is in the house. Yes, we are. And community leaders, students, faculty, staff, of course, alumni. How many alumni we have here? Raise your hand. Look at that. And any friends we have with us, we are delighted to have you here. This event would not be possible without the diligence and hard work of one Dr. Gladys Turner Finney, who wrote the book on Corbin and is one of our proud graduates, as she said, of AM&N College, class of 1957. Let's recognize her again. And it also took the hard work, the excellent hard work of the members of the Sesquicentennial Committee, which is chaired by Dr. Margaret Martin Hall. I'm going to ask the members of that committee who are here to stand just for a moment to be recognized. Members of the Sesquicentennial Committee. Thank you. My sincere thanks to all of the program participants who took time out of their schedule to serve on this program, including my good friend, University of Arkansas Chancellor Charles Robinson, State Historian Dr. David Ware, Ms. Ashley Crockett from the Arkansas Farm Development Corporation. Thank you all for coming out and celebrating with us on today. And there's Dr. Blakely. I was looking over here, Chancellor Emeritus Dr. Blakely. I was looking over here. So glad to have you join this program. We officially kicked off our sesquicentennial celebration during Black History Month this year with Martin Luther King III serving as speaker. Throughout the year, we've added programs and designated and dedicated much of our annual programming to commemorate the sesquicentennial. This will continue throughout homecoming next month, October 15th through the 21st, and with the community celebration at the Pine Bluff Convention Center on November 9th. As you are aware, we are celebrating 150 years of excellence. As a historically Black university filled with a rich history, it is important that we pay tribute and give honor to those who have sacrificed their lives, paved the way, and had the courage to make valuable contributions to our university, our community, and our nation. With that being said, there's no better way to celebrate our mission, our milestones, and our memories than recognizing and paying homage to the first president and founder of this great institution, Professor Joseph Carter Corbin. Professor Corbin was a remarkable educator who left an indelible mark in history, and especially on the state of Arkansas. So without further ado, we are pleased and proud to celebrate our 150th anniversary by recognizing our first great leader, Professor Joseph C. Corbin. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. I'm Trent Wills, and I humbly serve as the Executive Student Body President of the University of Arkansas Pine Bluff. So welcome to Joseph Carter Corbin Day at the University of Arkansas Pine Bluff. On this special occasion, we extend our warmest greetings to all of who have gathered to celebrate the legacy of Joseph Carter Corbin at the enduring spirit of excellence at our institution. As we come together to honor Joseph Carter Corbin, a pioneering educator and leader in our history, we also commemorate a remarkable milestone of 150 years of student success and achievement of the University of Arkansas Pine Bluff. Over a century and a half, we have seen a countless student like Mr. Corbin himself rise to great heights, fueled by their determination, dedication, and opportunities provided by our university. Today, we not only pay homage to our rich history, but also look forward to a future where the torch of knowledge, innovation, and community service continues to burn brightly. We stand as a testament to transformative power of education and unwavering support of our faculty, staff, alumni, students, and friends. Thank you for joining us on this monumentous occasion. Together, we reaffirm our commitment of excellence, and we invite you to be part of the continuing journey of success at the University of Arkansas Pine Bluff. Welcome, and let us celebrate the past, present, and future of our institution with pride and dignity. Thank you.
We welcome to the podium the Honorable Shirley Washington, Mayor of Pine Bluff, to present the resolution and the proclamation. Good evening.
Good evening.
It is my honor to present a proclamation from the City of Pine Bluff, Arkansas, on behalf of the City Council and all of our citizens of this community. A proclamation commemorating Dr. Joseph Carter Corbin on the centennial founding of the University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff. Whereas, Dr. Joseph Carter Corbin, educator, journalist, mathematician, scholar, linguist, musician, was born in Chillicothe, Ohio. His parents, William and Susan Corbin, had formerly been enslaved in Virginia. He became one of the most educated and scholarly men in the 19th century, earning a bachelor's degree and 2 master's degrees from Ohio University. He would use his education to establish a pathway for other Americans, other African Americans to achieve. Whereas Professor Corbin migrated to Arkansas during Reconstruction, recognized the need for freedmen, and while State Superintendent of Public Instruction and President of the Board of Trustees of Arkansas Industrial University, now the University of Arkansas at Fayetteville, he laid the foundation for a teacher's college for African Americans. He selected the site, a rented house at Lindsay and Sevier Streets, now 2nd Avenue and Oak Street, in Pine Bluff, and opened Branch Normal College on September 27, 1875, with 7 elementary students. For the first 7 years, Dr. Carter was the only teacher. He taught all the classes from elementary through collegiate, and he also served as the janitor. And whereas Professor Corbin's 27-year tenure faced many challenges and obstacles, he produced the first African American in the state with atrium baccalaureate degrees. He introduced the licentiate instruction degree, LI, which enabled emerging public school system to thrive. These graduates populated black schools throughout the state. Education, as we know, is transformative. Dr. Corbin transformed education in Arkansas by offering public college education to formerly enslaved African Americans and their descendants. He magnified Pine Bluff as a learning center for higher education. Today, UAPB is a multicultural institution with a diverse student population. The 20,000 graduates have made immeasurable contributions to their local community, to the state, and to the nation. Be it resolved that from henceforth, September 27th will be recognized as Professor Joseph Carter Corbin Day, and the city of Pine Bluff will rename 2nd Avenue the Professor Joseph Carter Corbin Street in honor of the founder of the University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff. I, Shirley Moorhead Washington, Mayor of the City of Pine Bluff, Arkansas, do hereby proclaim September 27, 2023 as the Professor Joseph Carter Corbin Day in the City of Pine Bluff. I encourage all citizens to celebrate the contributions of this special individual. Thank you so very much. That is our proclamation. At this time, I will present the resolution. This resolution was presented before the City Council and approved by the City Council of the City of Pine Bluff. It is a resolution authorizing the placement. I'm going to need some help on this one. There's a glare, and I didn't bring a hard copy, so forgive me for that. And when I hold it, that glare is prohibiting my reading. A resolution authorizing the placement of a commemorative topper on 2nd Avenue at its intersection with Oak Street to honor Dr. Joseph C. Corbin for contributions to the city of Pine Bluff. Whereas a naming application was submitted pursuant to Section 291-293 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Pine Bluff, Arkansas by Ms. Monique J. Benford, requesting the placement of street topper on 2nd Avenue at its intersection with Oak Street to honor Dr. Joseph C. Corbin Sr., an individual with significant contributions and impact on the city of Pine Bluff, Arkansas. And whereas the application has been reviewed and approved by all relevant officials, is recommended for approval by the Traffic and Aviation Committee, meets the criteria set forth in sections 291, 293, and the council of the opinion that this honorary topper should be installed as quickly as possible. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Pine Bluff, Arkansas, that the street department shall install one or more honorary toppers on 2nd Avenue at its intersection with Oak Street to honor Dr. Joseph C. Corbin for his contributions to this community. The department will install the toppers as quickly as possible. The historical impact of Dr. Corbin's contributions and his association with the city are set forth on page 2 of the naming application, attached here to, and are incorporated herein for reference by recommended for reading. This was passed on the 21st day of August, 2023, signed by our city clerk, Janice L. Roberts, and the mayor, Shirley Washington, approved by our city attorney who performed this, and this was sponsored by Councilmember Letitia Bronson, who is here today, by Lynn Brown Jr., Lynette Frazier, and also I'd like to recognize Councilmember Bruce Lockett. I will present this to Dr. Alexander. This will become a part of our historical museum, our beautiful museum here on the campus. There is a copy of the topper, a duplicate of the topper that is placed on 2nd Avenue that will be placed in the museum alongside this.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
My name name is Austin Coleman. I'm a representative for Congressman Bruce Westerman, who is your congressman here in Jefferson County. I want to start off for apologizing. I know this congressman would have loved to have been here today to celebrate, but he was able to make a video in our DC office to show his appreciation. And I also wanted to present this. It is a certificate of submission into the Congressional record recognizing the accomplishments of Dr. Joseph Carter Corbin, as well as the sesquicentennial for the University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff. If we want to go ahead and play this video.
Hi, I'm Congressman Bruce Westerman, representative for Arkansas's 4th Congressional District. I'm sorry I couldn't be with you today to celebrate in person since I'm stuck here in Washington, D.C. As an educator, journalist, mathematician, musician, and scholar, Dr. Corbin left a legacy of values that will not be forgotten. I'm proud to join you in recognizing September 27th as Professor Joseph Carter Corbin Day. What a way to celebrate his legacy.
And I'll go ahead and present this certificate to Professor Alexander, but I just want to thank you again for letting me be a part of such a special day.
Today is truly an historic event. We are witness to history. The University of Arkansas at Fayetteville and the University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff are under the leadership of 2 African American, both are history makers. Dr. Charles R. Robinson is the 7th Chancellor of the University of Arkansas at Fayetteville. He was appointed on November 16, 2022. He leads the university's land grant mission to provide opportunity and transform lives through education, research, and service. Dr. Robinson has served the university for more than 23 years as Assistant Professor of History in 1999. Teaching and mentoring students has always been a priority of his, as he was promoted to positions of increasing leadership and responsibility. He has served the university as Vice Provost for Diversity, the Vice Chancellor for Student Affairs, and Director of the African American Studies Program. Throughout his tenure at the university, he has consistently led institutional progress in student recruitment, diversity, student success, and retention. He is a historian, author, researcher. He holds a bachelor's degree in history from the University of Houston, a master's degree in history from Rice University, and a doctorate in history from the University of Houston. We warmly welcome Dr. Robinson to the podium.
Thanks, everyone, and Dr. Turner Finney. I could just listen to you enunciate the words. I mean, you made me feel more important just by saying it. It is indeed an honor and a privilege for me to be part of this program. This is a great day. Professor Corbin is important, of course, to the UAPB, but he's also important to the UA Fayetteville, because without his vision, there would be no UA Fayetteville, and there would be no UAPB. And it is awesome. I mean, it's to say, history is what it is. When the land grants that he was responsible for now have chancellors who are of a similar ethnicity. I really wasn't saying that for applause, but it is what it is. And you know, it is important to recognize history and history makers. You know, when I was thinking about what I would say, you know, what do you say when a man who's done the things that he's done? I mean, how do you just show people his bio and sit down? I mean, he was a remarkable individual. But when I was thinking about Dr. Corbin, you know, in my mind, it's the broader context of the African-American experience. And so I thought about songs from the 1960s and 70s. Let's just follow with me, just give me a little time. I thought about how there were songs in that period that reflected the essence and the spirit of the civil rights movement. You know, the song, you may have heard it, "A Change Is Gonna Come." You might be familiar with the song, "Ain't No Mountain." Yeah, y'all know what I'm talking about. And then I couldn't help but think about Aretha Franklin's "Ain't No Way." I mean, I could just talk about that if you want me to. And then, of course, James Brown, "Say It Loud." Oh man, I got a group to work with today. And these songs, to me, were reflective, and are reflective, of centuries of struggle. If you understand these songs, it better helps you to understand W.B. Du Bois. In his 1903, The Souls of Black Folk, when he talked about double consciousness. How can we be proud of being both black and American? If you understand these songs, you understand why we lift every voice and sing. Understand these songs, you can better appreciate Langston Hughes. I too am American. Oh, y'all gonna get me started. Paul Laurence Dunbar, followed by Maya Angelou. I Know Why. Oh, yeah. And Professor Corbin was in that link of organizational commitment and organizational struggle. He was, by definition, a visionary. He saw the ultimate importance of higher education in transforming lives at a time when many people were simply seeking to get very elementary aspects of education. Dr. Corbin was a tireless worker, and I keep calling him Dr. Corbin. I just gave him an honorary degree. Not bad, I did. Don't get me. Got a position now, don't I? He was a tireless worker. So, you know, in my position, I often hear faculty and staff tell me about how they're overworked and underpaid. Now, Dr. Alexander wouldn't know anything about that. Overworked and underpaid. But here is Professor Corbin. He was the chancellor. He was faculty. He was staff. He was custodial service. He was facilities management. And if they had an athletic program, he'd have been an AD. He was everything that the institution needed at the same time, because he was committed to seeing it become successful. That's what was what it needed. That's what he was willing to provide. And then when I read his bio, another thing that stood out to me was his absolute commitment to equal opportunity. He understood that not all students have the same reality. Some students come to us with better resources than others. And those better resources often contribute to how they're able to present themselves. I've asked this question on my campus, that's why I ask it here. Why do we expect students who have to work 35 and 40 hours a week to do as well academically as students who don't have to work at all? Why is it that we expect the same outcomes from people who are trying to figure out how to pay the fee bill when we don't, with the same ones who don't have to even worry about seeing the fee bill because their parents pay for it? Professor Corbin understood, while he was everything to UAPB, that resources matter. Resources often dictate what outcomes are. We can't help where we were born or under the condition that we were born. We have to just deal with it. That's what my father used to tell me all the time. I'd come to him and say, hey, I got this problem. I got this problem. Daddy, I got this problem. He said, well, it sounds like your problem. You need to deal with it. Now, he wasn't trying to sound insensitive, but it's just a fact. Now, the beauty of higher education, of institutions, is that we can help students deal with it. We can provide them with opportunities that they might not ordinarily have by looking at our resources, looking at their needs, and making conscious decisions about where resources need to go to better support our students. You know, and I think, again, and I'm just about done, so people say, hey, wait a minute, we didn't invite you to say this much. When I think about Professor Corbin, I really think about the question for us today. Where do we go from here? He was a patriot, an American patriot, and a pioneer. He labored tirelessly to move the entire nation and the state of Arkansas to a higher plane of being. He worked, forged, and shaped the fallow grounds of empty rhetoric for justice into the fertile fields of realized freedom and equal opportunity. Corbin, like so many dedicated people in history, sons and daughters of this nation who we don't recognize enough, gave of themselves in constructing this great house that I like to call America. They agonized, they agitated, they struggled, they constructed. And though many of them were denied the opportunity to taste the sweet and succulent fruits of liberty, they kept working. They continued building because they knew that future generations, you and me, would have the ability to have what they never had, achieve what they were denied, experience what they could only envision. Now we stand in the downwind of their struggle. And we have an obligation like no other generation before to complete this house. They started the construction. We need to finish it. This day is an opportunity for each of us to rededicate ourselves to completing the house of freedom. Let us begin with a strong and even foundation that is heavily cemented in the American creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal. This house must be supported by the sturdy frame of fairness and the twin pillars of truth and justice. This house needs the flat roof of reasonableness to protect its occupants from the excesses of extremism. This house needs wide windows of wisdom to allow the light of decades of hope to radiate in and the strong fragrance of dreams realized to filter out. This house must have a long, long table of equality surrounded by the many chairs of equal opportunity. And at the center of this table of equality sits the piping hot pie of American prosperity, bubbling over with its delectable feeling of abundance. In this house, we will continue building. We will rediscover that change in America is still very possible. This is our country. This is our nation. Nobody can sing "My Country, 'Tis of Thee" like we can sing. Nobody has the claim to citizenship like we have it. Our ancestors fought and died in every American war. We built the critical infrastructure and made important discoveries that have contributed to making this the most powerful nation on the planet. This belongs to us. And as we continue building, our young people will be able to shake off the captivity of pessimism and learn anew that they possess a self-evident right to dream again. History tells us that when black folks dream, there is a change coming. When black folks dream, we release a kinetic energy that metamorphs the present and energizes the future. When we dream, we take that which seems impossible to do and we turn it into a job well done. When people of color dream, we envision a better nation, a better state, a better city. The Bible says it's this way: we dream of a city with foundation whose builder and maker is God. When Americans of color dream, we believe that we can fly. We believe that we can touch the sky. We think about it every night and day, spread our wings, and we fly away. When people of color dream, ain't no mountain high enough. Ain't no valley low enough. Ain't no river wide enough. When we dream, we drop it like it's hot. When we dream, no diggity, no doubt. Glory, hallelujah. Glory, hallelujah. Change will come when we dream. Thank you, sir.
Thank you for being here today. invite you now. Just witness. Is Dr. David Ware. Dr. David Ware is Arkansas State Historian and Director of the State Archives in Little Rock. He has held this position since January 1, 2020. He is the manager of the State Archives and its branches, 2 branches. He supervises a total of 25 archivists, technicians, whose mission is acquisition, conservation of public and private historical records and documents. Among his many professionally related duties, he is the Secretary ex officio of the Arkansas History Commission and Secretary ex officio of the Black History Commission of Arkansas. He holds a bachelor's degree in French literature from the University of Nebraska, a master's degree in history from the University of Wyoming, and a doctorate in history from Arizona State University. We welcome you to the podium, Dr. Wick.
As you may have noticed, or you may not have picked up, I'm a graduate of 3 land-grant institutions, each of which benefited from the provisions of both the first and the second Moral Acts. Therefore, in a sort of an odd way, I feel like I'm home. Thank you, Dr. Finney, for the honor that you've given me by asking me to be here. If you knew how a poor public speaker I am, you would have said, just give the remarks to Dr. Robinson. He'll jazz them up. The question is, and I've asked myself this, who am I to speak of Joseph Carter Corbin? He's a remarkable man, a remarkable educator, one who saw the future as it might be, as it should be, and worked to make it happen by working long and hard in education. If you want to know the nuts and bolts, the chapter and verse of his contributions to education in Arkansas, like any good college history teacher, as I used to be, read the book. Dr. Finney has it in here. Read the book. You won't find that time wasted. What I'd like to talk about, some of the things that I gathered from reading this book, also from corresponding with Dr. Finney over the years. I finally get to meet you for the first time. But I know we have traded emails and notes. We have your materials, your research materials at the State Archives, and they will be consulted in the future. Because this is a field that requires more study. What I'd like to talk about So what I think, I'll call him Dr. Corbin. Good. We'll take that as given. What he brought to education in this state. First off, he brought a broad and generous liberal arts educational background. He was, as you know, the son of formerly enslaved parents. He was born and grew up in Ohio. He enrolled in 1850 at the Ohio University, still going strong today, a public university. He was not the first African-American student to enroll, but the third, but he was the second one to graduate, with his bachelor's in 1853 and his master's in 1856. What I should note is that the person who earned those degrees came out of the Ohio University, a well-rounded individual. On the menu for undergraduates back there was instruction in, with the expectation of proficiency in Latin, Greek, the New Testament read in the original Greek, geography, logic, arithmetic, geometry, algebra, natural philosophy, what we'd be calling the hard stuff, the sciences, and general principles of history, the English language, the law, grammar and rhetoric, criticism, surveying, and even navigation. Good Lord, this is not training for an occupation. This is training for life. This is training for getting around in downtown Little Rock today, at least with that last one. A college education was not simply meant to train you for a job. It was meant to train you for anything you were going to come across in your life. He also brought to education a history of engagement, working with the Underground Railroad in Ohio in the 1850s, working as a teacher's aide in Kentucky before that, working in the 1860s as a bank clerk in Cincinnati, which was a position of real responsibility. It's not simply someone who's pushing the pen, but somebody who handles money, who handles account, who handles customers or clients. Patterns of real responsibility. What's more, engagement in his community. He was active in a literary society. He helped found a weekly newspaper for African Americans throughout the Midwest. This was the Colored Citizen, which proclaimed on its masthead, paraphrasing the Roman playwright Terence, "Nothing that concerns mankind is foreign to me." His classics were showing. And my daughter, the classicist, in her senior year at the University of Chicago, she saw this and she said, okay, he has credit. He showed engagement, too, in things that mixed education with practicalities. From his early days, he showed that he understood the necessity, if you're going to be an advocate of something, of making those network connections, and one way to do that is through politics. While in Cincinnati, Corbin was involved in the direction of the local colored school board. He served a term, he was elected to a term on the board in 1864, and again in 1870. The significance of this, his involvement in education, was also his debut into politics. Beginning about 1850, the city of Cincinnati, following Ohio law, set aside the taxes collected on properties owned by African Americans for the support of what were styled the colored public schools. Black adult males elected the school board. This was the only election in which they could actually participate, but they took advantage of it. This was a stepping stone to later political activity for many. By the mid-1850s, the colored public schools of Cincinnati controlled the education of African American students in East Side and West Side common schools. Within a few years, the system included the John L. Gaines High School and a normal school, that is, a modest seminary for teacher training. This is one school district, and they were doing better by the late 1860s than many Arkansas school districts managed to do well into the 20th century. The school board's report for 1864-1865 shows what Joseph Corbin was into. He served on 4 committees: curriculum and textbooks, printing, salaries, that is, the bank clerk is having to deal with the budget for the school system, and fuel. Technically, that would be the coal and wood necessary to keep the classrooms warm during the wintertime. My bet is that had a lot to do with infrastructure, with the practicalities of keeping these schools going. Curriculum, printing, salaries, and fuel. Committee service, working with people, networking with people. Now, as I mentioned, Joseph Corbin wins a second term for the school board in 1870, serves in 1871. So we see him navigating in two worlds, or two currents here, education and politics, which at that time and that place meant navigating in politics of the local Republican Party. We see him navigating these currents that would carry him south by southwest in 1871 to Arkansas. He leaves Ohio for Arkansas in 1871. Now, what calls him here, we do not know for sure. We don't know when he fell off of his donkey on the way to Cincinnati or whatever. Maybe he saw opportunity. Maybe he saw need. Perhaps there were Republicans who said, you are needed down south where there is a Reconstruction government who needs men of ability, who needs men of education, who are willing to take up whatever task needs to be taken up. We don't know all the details, but we know there's something there that makes him get out of his comfortable home state and come down here, where he becomes involved, engaged, he starts networking. He works as a reporter for Little Rock's Daily Republican newspaper. He serves as assistant postmaster in Little Rock, and in 1872, he is elected as the state's superintendent of public instruction on the Republican ticket, taking office in January of 1873. A couple months later, Superintendent Corbin gets a couple of visitors in his office. They are a couple of white teachers who had, after the Civil War, come to Arkansas to help fill the need for teachers in the public schools for African Americans that were established, that were wanting desperately for anyone trained, anyone with qualifications to come down and teach. In 1866, there were only 5 African American teachers available for teaching in these schools. More were needed. Some came from outside of the state. These 2 teachers pitched the idea of Corbin to make alliances within the legislature and the power elite in Arkansas to bring about the creation of a normal school, a teacher training college for African Americans. Corbin uses his connections, uses his acquaintances. He puts together a committee of 3 notables, 2 Supreme Court justices, and a state senator, John Middleton Clayton, the brother of former Republican governor and U.S. Senator Powell Clayton, to come up with a plan, make a way for this normal school to happen. What happens is the act of April 25th, 1873, which establishes the Branch Normal College, a subsidiary of the Arkansas Industrial University, to be located somewhere south of Pulaski, or southeast of Pulaski County. What's more, the legislature appropriates $25,000 in order to get it started by the fall of 1873. The problem is there's political turmoil going on in Arkansas, which culminates in the Brooks-Baxter War in April and May of 1874, where you basically have factions of the Republican Party fighting it out in the streets of Little Rock and on the fields of New Gascony, not too far from here. What happens is a change of government and a return to power of the old conservative Democrats. The writing of a new constitution, the selection of new constitutional and statewide offices, and Joseph Corbin finds himself out of a job. And so he heads north to Missouri to teach in 1874. However, he is called back to Arkansas by Democratic Governor Augustus Garland in the late summer of 1875, and he is offered a job to actually follow through on the Legislative Act of 1873 to establish a normal school at Pine Bluff. Corbin, the Republican insider, being approached by a Democrat, by an ex-Confederate legislator, to found a school to train black teachers. Corbin sees the bigger game. He sees the higher goal. He is willing to do what's necessary to get this school in operation, and so he accepts this offer. On August 18, 1875, he is hired to run the new school as its principal. And as you've heard, for several years, he was the only faculty member at the princely sum of $1,000 per year. He would be the only full-time teacher into 1883. Over the next decade, he grows enrollment while broadening the mission from simple teacher training to more general education. It's that liberal arts background he's bringing. Not just teach them to teach well enough, but to give them more, build them into citizens, well-rounded individuals. While at Branch Normal, he conducts teacher training institutes in Arkansas and in the Indian Territory, today's Oklahoma, believing that such courses would inspire teachers to improve their teaching. He is doing missionary work for education, for the profession of teaching. And this is what I think his another great contribution of education is. It may start out as a job for some, but he makes it into a mission. This is becomes his life work. This out-of-towner, this out-of-stater. And as one myself, I know what happens. Sometimes you come to Arkansas, you think you're going to stay here 3 years, and well, it's 24 years in running for me. So, Joseph Corbin, you know a little bit about what you discovered down here. As the school grows, Branch Normal's enrollment grows from 7 students in 1875 to 241 by 1894. From rented rooms, it grows into a 2-story brick building with classrooms, an assembly hall, and women's dormitory. An industrial development or department is established with courses in sewing, typing, and printing. Liberal arts is one thing, but you've got to be able to sew your own clothes, too. These are added between 1880 and 1900. Corbin himself remains central to the intellectual life of the school and its instruction. He writes articles on mathematics, constructs mathematical puzzles. This is not just some Greek scholar. This is a man of serious learning, serious logic. And he is also a fighter for this school. In 1891, after the Arkansas legislature adopts provisions of the Second Federal Morrill Act providing support for land-grant colleges, Corbin seeks to have its measures implemented in full, and in particular, that provision that if a state maintains separate white and black land-grant institutions, funds must be equitably divided. That is, one's supposed to get the same level of funding as the other. Although the definition of equity was left for the individual states to work out. And as some of you know from the news last Wednesday, check the Democrat dissent, ladies and gentlemen, there is a gentle suggestion that maybe it hasn't worked out the way it was supposed to over the years. For HBCUs in 16 states. Not pointing any fingers, but there's a lot of work yet to do. At the time, though, Joseph Corbin sees the inequity that's being dialed in by the legislature. He pushes back and he meets with some success. The legislature allocates $5,000 to create new programs in agriculture and mechanical arts at Branch Normal. They also hire William Harris, a white employee of the Fayetteville campus, to come down and run these new programs. Corbin is not entirely happy with this outcome. He feels that agriculture is not something that leads to uplift, but on the other hand, if that's the price of getting Morrill Act funds, he is happy to do it because it's going to mean that the school will grow, the school has a better chance to survive. And he's all about keeping this school alive and growing. He's a liberal arts man, but he's also practical. He's even less happy in 1893 when the Democratic legislature tries to get him fired because of what they term poor performance. They fail, but they forced the university's board of trustees to essentially promote Harris to be superintendent and treasurer of Branch Normal, which puts Corbin in a somewhat diminished position. Things go downhill from this point. Corbin is at odds with the trustees until he is finally dismissed from Branch Normal by the trustees in 1902. He's replaced with a graduate of the Tuskegee Institute, Booker T. Washington protege, Isaac Fisher. But what does Joseph Corbin do? He stays on. He stays in Pine Bluff. He stays devoted to the community and the population that have supported him. He becomes the principal of Merrill Public High School in Pine Bluff. He continues to live in this city and help build it until his death in 1911. What do we take away from this? Corbin embraced education as a way upward for himself and for others. He embraced cultural as well as practical education. It's that liberal arts background. They got to him in Ohio, and he never let go of that ideal. He figured out the possibilities of politics. He understood that in order to keep a place like this alive, it wasn't enough to be a great scholar. You had to be a player. You had to pull political strings. You had to make alliances. And not just in your own circle. You had to be willing to make favors, call in favors, which is what he did to get this place started, to keep this place alive, I'm sure. He understood that building a school, making it thrive, required both learning and political skills. He was willing to take big steps, forge alliances, and he was willing to accept setbacks in pursuit of a larger goal. He reminds me of a phrase I heard from a preacher years ago. The righteous stand up, the rest of us stand around. Joseph Corbin stood up, and in so doing, he helped others to stand, generations. He knew personally in 27 years as the leader of this institution, and his spirit continues to help people stand up today. A few months ago, no, let's call it a few weeks ago now, I was flying back to Little Rock from Houston on one of those flights where the plane's about yay wide and all the people are about yay wide, so there are no empty seats, and you get to know your neighbor pretty well. I was happy enough to sit next to a woman who's coming back to visit her family in Little Rock. She lives out in San Diego. She's done well, I think, in real estate. She's got kids in college. We traded kids in college stories and paying for college stories. And she said, yeah, I graduated from UAPB. And I said, hey, they invited me down there. All of a sudden, we had a whole lot better conversation. Because the rest of our trip was devoted to her talking about how proud she was of having come from this school, how what she learned here fit her for life, for success. She loves this school. She loves her memories of it. I gave her my card. I hope she gets back in touch with me because I want to tell her just how it feels to be here today. The righteous stood up when it was necessary. And the rest of us, we have that support. We can remain standing because of Joseph Corbin. Thank you all.
Thank you so very much. At this time, I'm pleased to introduce you to the new documentary on Professor Joseph Corbin. The title is An Educator Defined, a look into the life of Joseph C. Corbin. It was written and produced by the University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff. Let's give an applause for that.
At the heart of our history lies an array of unsung heroes dedicated to advancing our society. One such figure is Joseph Carter Corbin, a luminary of education who transformed the landscape for African Americans in Arkansas during the 19th and 20th centuries. This is his story. Hailing from Ohio and born in 1833, Joseph Carter Corbin's story began as a child of William and Susan Corbin. His upbringing unfolded under the harsh realities of Jim Crow. Despite the crushing force of this system, Corbin's intellectual spark started to illuminate from his youthful years onward. During an era when education for black students was more dream than reality, Corbin's parents explored all avenues. As he turned 16, Corbin made a journey to Louisville, Kentucky, a place where private schools dared to crack open doors to both free and enslaved youth. In this place, Corbin's connection to education expanded to include Latin, Caesar, Cicero, and analytical geometry. In 1850, Joseph Carter Corbin breached the walls of racial disparity at Ohio University, a venerable institution in Athens, engraving his landmark presence in his annals as only the third African-American student to enroll. Corbin earned a distinction as the university's second African-American bachelor's degree holder at 20 years old. His relentless quest for knowledge didn't cease. In 1856, he fortified his commendable laurels with a Master of Arts degree. Embarking on a multifaceted career, Corbin started as a messenger and clerk at the Bank of Ohio Valley before serving 2 years as an elected trustee of the Cincinnati Colored School Board. During the Civil War, he took up the mantle of the African American Voice, editing and co-publishing the Colored Citizen newspaper of Cincinnati for over half a decade. As time passed, Corbin set his sights on the southern state of Arkansas. His ambition to transform educational opportunities for African Americans.
Professor Corbin has vision, he's visionary, he's willing to pursue that vision at overwhelming odds and challenges. He's highly educated, which is A+. He does not let obstacles deter him or prevent him from achieving his goals. He has audacity, he has courage, he's committed. He is a person who does not give up.
As an elected official, he wielded his influence as the superintendent of public instruction and as the president of the Arkansas Industrial University Board of Trustees, mobilizing efforts to establish Branch Normal College, a beacon of enlightenment for black students. In 1875, Corbin ascended to principal of the groundbreaking Branch Normal College, sparking seismic educational reform in Arkansas. With considered precision, he selected Pine Bluff, the economic heart within its significant black population in Jefferson County, as the college's ideal location. From an initial class of 7 students to 80 by year's end, the escalating student population of Branch Normal College became a torch of hope for Arkansas's post-Civil War black community. Guided by Corbin, Branch Normal College flourished, providing African American students with pathways to academic success and equipping them with the essential life skills to excel as community leaders. Corbin held the reins as the principal of the college, shaping its direction for a significant 27-year tenure. Remaining in Pine Bluff post-tenure at Branch Normal College, Corbin stamped lasting influence on the state's educational landscape as principal of Merrill High School, a linchpin for local African American education. Not limited to academia, Corbin's esteemed Freemason status led him to the Grand Master role in the Negro Grand Lodge of Arkansas. His legacy includes a groundbreaking 4-story brick temple constructed in Pine Bluff in 1903. Corbin's influence pervades time, its vibrancy undimmed. The institution he cultivated, now the University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff, stands testament to his commitment and establishment of higher learning and a perpetual tribute to his life's work. With each passing year, a new generation absorbs his spirit of learning and resilience, further advancing the profound legacy he began in 1873. We stand in awe of Corbin's immeasurable contributions. His enduring legacy is a poignant reminder that the journey toward progress endlessly unfolds. Mirroring the unwavering resilience of humankind in the face of hardship, his life's work bears testament to the unyielding spirit of perseverance that races in the very heart of humanity. State College, we greet thee with love and devotion.
journalist. She is presently the Executive Administrative Assistant to the President for the who has never been afraid to activate her taking charge, city mentality, and huge personality. She attended UAPB for 2 years and transferred to Grambling State University, where she received her degree in mass communications, broadcasting, and public relations. Since then, she has held positions in journalism and broadcasting TV, including a reporter for KARK TV News and KARK4 Fox 16. Ashley is the proud descendant of the illustrious Professor Joseph Corbin. Welcome her to the group.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Dr. Finney, for this opportunity. I cannot put in words how much I appreciate you. And just to say, this is going to be kind of hard coming behind Mr. Robinson here. But again, I'm Ashley Crockett, and I proudly represent the Corbin family. When I wrote my first draft for this occasion, the more I researched, I realized that Dr. Joseph C. Corbin had accomplished more than I could condense in a few words, but I assure you, I will try. And I'm also excited today to have in the audience the 5th, 6th, and 7th generation of what I call Corbin excellence. If you guys could stand for us. If you can. As a descendant of the Corbin family, I'm often questioned about the historical significance of Joseph Carter Corbin. One in particular is, am I as surprised as they are about his monumental achievements? And my answer is simple, absolutely not. Also, well, my answer is, of course, absolutely not. Corbin was chosen and appointed by God himself because he knew that he was the man to do the job. In fact, if I could speak with him today, I would ask the following. Did you ever imagine that you would establish a place where African Americans could solidify their places in society? To build an institution during those trying times and see it existing in the year 2023. I mean, did you ever imagine that you would create an institutional foundation that generations of descendants would receive an education, let alone hundreds of thousands, that hold you responsible for giving them the opportunity to soar into their careers beyond their college years? And in true Corbin fashion, I'm sure he would answer, absolutely. See, Corbin was a man who strived to create a change in African American communities of Arkansas and wasn't afraid to do so. The backstory to him, of course, we've heard several times, but he was the eldest of 3 children, born to freed African American parents and an Ohio native that had a deeper calling than what I believe Corbin himself couldn't have ever imagined. Why else would he relocate to the South? Back in Ohio, he graduated with his bachelor's and master's in arts during a time when blacks were still enslaved. So again, why move to the South and why Arkansas, of all places? People here were still being subjected to much more harsh injustices, lynchings, and blatant discrimination. To the average person, it was not a logical decision. I'll tell you why. It was because he had an ordained assignment that not even his vision could fully comprehend. So in 1872, Corbin was led by his vision to move his family to Little Rock, where he was given the opportunity to work as a reporter, hence where I get it from, and minus the cursing, of course. For, again, he was given the opportunity as a reporter for the Arkansas Republican, also known as the Daily Republican, designed to do several things, which include but are not limited to rebuilding the nation after the war, reintegrate the former Confederate states, and address the social, political, and economic impacts of slavery. It is my belief that while he developed stories for this paper, he began to see the much needed changes in policy in many areas as it related to blacks in Arkansas. From 1873 to 1875, Corbin served as Arkansas's superintendent of public instruction and by virtue of holding that office was president of the University Arkansas Board of Trustees. Again, something a black man at that time just didn't do. As president, he signed the contract for construction of University Hall, which we know today as Old Main, which was the first building at the University of Arkansas, Fayetteville. It was at this time Corbin began to work on legislation to create a college for black students in Arkansas. Former Governor Augustus Garland suggested that Corbin open a college in Jefferson County, which happened to be the county with the highest African American population. In 1875, Corbin brought his vision to Pine Bluff and became the principal of Branch Normal College, which we now know today as the University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff. From 1875 until 1883, he was the only teacher at that school who also spoke 8 different languages that he taught himself. And something that you guys did not mention, of course, we all know if you're a Corbin, you're musically inclined. So he did create the first the first choir here. Soon, Branch Normal's enrollment grew from 7 students in 1875 to 241 by 1894, After that, a 2-story brick building with classrooms and an assembly hall was constructed. And at that point, we were official and finally had something to call our own. But that was only the beginning. With the assistance of R.C. Childress, a teacher at Branch Normal, Corbin formed the Teachers of Negro Youth, the first state association for Black teachers in 1898. Corbin was the first president of that organization. In fact, 20 years after his death, the organization became known as the Arkansas Teachers Association, which after integration merged with the Arkansas Education Association in 1969. Outside of education, Corbin led the 3rd Grand Master of the Arkansas chapter of the Prince Hall Masons and served as vice president of the Colored Industrial Fair, which still stands in the heart of downtown Pine Bluff. In 1902, Corbin became the principal of Merrill Public Schools in Pine Bluff, adding more to policy changes for African American youth in Jefferson County. So friends and family, in my opinion, Joseph C. Corbin did more than just create a school. He brought hope to people who were torn down by oppression and provided an opportunity to educate themselves, to believe in themselves, and inspire them to become the best versions of who they were through education. He set the standard of defying the odds and showed people of color that we are able and capable of doing anything. He set the standard of Corbin broke generational curses for many families who were educated by Branch Normal, AM&N, and the University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff. Those who have gone on to accomplish so much more because of his vision for inclusion of his people. So in conclusion, I think from all of the above, his final answer to me would be, sugar, as my grandfather would say, mission accomplished. My vision is now in full swing, and the best is yet to come. And as my legacy and descendant, don't get too comfortable, because there's still much more to do. As I stand here today, I have so much pride because look around at what we have accomplished. Make no mistake, I may be a GSU Tiger on paper, but I will always be a lion at heart. And with that being said, Corbin is not only UAPB, he is Pine Bluff. So I invite you to take his mission and make it your mission to push his vision and make it live on forever. Thank you.
Inspiration to her because I have lived so diligently for descendants of Professor Corbin. The mission is accomplished because I found you and the family. Thank you.
At this time,
we have a tribute from Senator Stephanie.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Dr. Finney. I want to say how great it is to be here with you all today. Chancellor Alexander and Chancellor Robinson, who I've never met before today. I'm quite impressed. Dr. Ware, Dr. Blakely, all of the faculty members, former and present. I can't say enough about this program today because I'm just excited. And, you know, I know Dr. Finney worked very hard on this. I appreciate her. You know, I appreciate you, Dr. Finney. I mean, I guess sometimes you thought, these people in Pine Bluff, what are they doing? I mean, they're dragging their feet or something. But you brought it together, and you should be well pleased, because this has been a beautiful, It's been a history lesson. I didn't know Professor Corbin had descendants here in Arkansas. I did not know that part. So I'm looking forward to reading your book. I don't know how Dr. Ware got to read it before everybody else. I didn't know it was now. I don't know when it was published. But I'm looking forward to getting one of those books. But this has been a history class today. And I'm so grateful, you know, to be here, to be a part of this. I'm not a graduate of UAPB, but I'll say this, as I say every time that I come on campus and have a chance to say something. My first formal education began here at the J.C. Corbin Laboratory School. And that was a long time ago, but from first through the fourth grade until it ended. After my fourth grade, I was a student there. Many of my brothers and sisters before me finished at least the elementary part. By then it was only elementary. But it was a concept that carried on the tradition, I think, of Professor Corbin. When you think about education and his vision for developing educators. And I'll say this, I know throughout this country, the graduates from the education department of A&M, Branch Normal before that, now UAPB, have served honorably all over this country and probably outside the country. But we furnished a lot of teachers to schools in the north. I know this because I had aunts and cousins and friends, family friends, that were able to enjoy opportunity after leaving here with a degree in education. And I appreciate Professor Corbin's vision and his mission. You know, in The Wretched of the Earth by Frantz Fanon, it said, each generation out of relative obscurity must discover their mission, fulfill it, or betray it. He fulfilled his. And now I say to the younger students here now, and all of us, we should think about our mission, this generation, our mission, discover it, and hopefully we will fulfill it as J.C. Corbin did. He left us a legacy, and I'm very proud to be a part of that legacy too. Having started here at the J.C. Corbin Laboratory School. You know, I wanted to mention, it's been so much history here today that's been communicated. And it's not just history, but it's current events. We talk about land grant institution and how the neglect has been by the state of Arkansas. It's not like we didn't try. Well, I filed a bill in 2015, Senate Bill 695. I was talking to Edward Alexander about it the other day. It got out of the Senate, didn't get out of the House. That was in 2015. We had a Democratic governor. We had a majority Republican legislature. But it was not as extreme as we see now. And so the House didn't get it passed. Hopefully they'll think about it now and dust my bill off. I think the first version was about getting a steady stream of money for the land grant match, state match. First version said out of property, recording fees. It's $20 first page for a deed, $5 for the second page and any other deed, any other pages after that $5. That's a lot of money. And when I researched it back then, Jefferson County was producing. We had a lot of money coming out of property records. So hopefully they'll do that. I had to change it and put it in the gaming, but that didn't work either. So I don't know what the heck they want half the time, but you know, you see needs as Joseph Carter Corbin saw needs. And out of obscurity, you don't know how you're going to do it, but you have a desire, and you make it your mission, and you get things done, like Joseph Carter Corbin got things done. And it's still standing. Still standing. And it looks even better every day now. When I saw the Hazard Gymnasium over there, I told Jess the other day, I was so proud to see the facade change, the exterior of the building. It looks beautiful. I remember those days, homecoming, we'd go over there. I was just a kid, but they let kids into the concerts over there, and we saw just some of the greatest, all those people you were singing about, Dr. Robinson. No, you didn't sing. Okay, well, but you knew the lyrics. Now, all those people came through Pine Bluff, Hazard Gymnasium, and it was such a wonderful time to be a part of this city. Joseph Carter Corbin, when I think about him coming to Arkansas at this time, at Reconstruction period. And if you notice, at Dr. Ware, I meant to bring some of those rulers the Black History Commission produced with the legislators, the black legislators that served during that time of Reconstruction up until 1893. The last one I saw that was elected to serve in our Arkansas State Legislature served in 1893. You know, when you think about it and you read history and you try to understand and put these dates and see what's happening all over the place, you kind of get an idea of how things fit. What happened? Why did it happen? It was interesting, I think you said this too, Dr. Murray, about he was, in other words, politically savvy, you know, whatever. You have to do what you got to do. But sometimes it's hard, you know, when there's a block up, when there's a steel wall, unless you you're gonna blow it up, it's kind of hard to rationalize with some people. It's very difficult, especially when they are not learned people. That's very difficult. Woo! But I'll tell you this, there is still hope. And I'm thankful for the University of Arkansas Pine Bluff today. I'm thankful for Joseph Carter Corbin. And also, I have a Senate citation. You know, when I got in the legislature, I wondered, why do people always do this citation and proclamation and resolution and all this kind of stuff? I thought it just got to be like, I didn't understand it really, but people like it. And sometimes, I'm wondering, well, I don't know, is this really worthy of something like that? But this is really worthy. Joseph Carter Corbin is worthy. And I'm so glad that I'm at UAPB and I'm here with a Senate citation from the Arkansas Senate 150 years later. That's pretty tough. I mean, this is like the crown of my career. This is the first thing I ever done. To be a part of it. To see his fifth generation descendant. To see meet Miss Dr. Finney and see Chancellor and this other Chancellor. This is really something. This is big. And I hope I got all these chronological dates right. That's something that kind of worried me. But it was interesting. That's why I'm looking forward to this book. Reading that book. But it reads, whereas the Professor Joseph Carter Corbin Day sesquicentennial event will be held on September 27, 2023 at the University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff to honor the historic legacy of an educator who was integral to the development of higher and secondary education in Arkansas. And whereas Professor Corbin opened Branch Normal College, now the University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff, on September 27, 1875, upon the creation of its charter by the Arkansas legislature in 1882, he produced the first African-American teachers in Arkansas with baccalaureate degrees. During his 27 tenure, he built the university from the ground up while conducting teacher institutes across the state and co-founding the Arkansas Negro Teachers Association. And whereas an Ohio native, Professor Corbin moved to Arkansas during the Reconstruction era. In 1872, he was elected State Superintendent of Public Instruction and President of the Board of Trustees at Arkansas Industrial University, now the University of Arkansas at Fayetteville. His gravesite at Forest Home Cemetery in Forest Park, Illinois, was designated a National Historic Site on April 17, 2023. And whereas the members of the Arkansas Senate wish to join Senator Stephanie Flowers in celebrating and honoring the legacy of Professor Joseph Carter Corbin, and in recognizing his indelible impact on education in Arkansas. Now therefore, pursuant to the motion of Senator Stephanie Flowers, the Arkansas Senate directs this citation be presented on this 27th day of September 2023, signed by Senator Bart Hester, President Pro Tem of the Senate, and Cornwell, the Secretary of the Senate, and yours truly, Stephanie Flowers. Last thing I want to say, the program says my district is District 5. It's District 8 now. Thank you very much.
The author is with us, not the author, English major, like to do writing, but the artist who is responsible for what we are about to unveil is with us today, Mr. Justin Thomason, and I would like to pay recognition to Mr. Henry Minton, who commissioned the artwork. Mr. Minton, would you both join us here, please? Mr. Thomason and Mr. Minton, would you please join them? Okay, shall we do it on the count of 3? 1, 2, 3. The portrait will be placed in the building that is named after Professor Corbin. It will hang in Corbin Hall. Thank you, Mr. Minton. Thank you, Mr. Thomason. And before we move to closing remarks by Dr. Finney, we have one last special presentation. Dr. Alexander, would you come to the front, please? And I would like for Carla Bryant of the museum to please come for this photo op. And I'm going to get out of the way. We thank you for the hard work and dedication to the mission of making sure that Professor Joseph Corbin is forever remembered by Arkansans and by citizens throughout the United States. What he did in 1853 and forward will forever be remembered and will forever be recorded in the annals of history. thank you so much for your patience. The program ran much longer than we had planned, but you seem to have really enjoyed yourself, so we appreciate that as well. And we have a student, one of our choir members, who will lead us in the alma mater after Dr. Finney's closing remarks.
Hello, my name is Kylie Morris. As she stated, I am a member of the Vesper Choir, and I serve as Miss Vesper of the 2023-2024 school year. State College, we greet thee with love and devotion. Our hearts and our treasures we bring to thy shrine. With arms that are strong from all harm, we defend thee. Thy name shall we cherish, dear mother of mine. We walk through this wide world with peace and with courage. We gained while we sat at thy sanctified seat. We come